All right, fight fans. Back for another deep dive, and this time we're going to break down Prochazka versus Hill at UFC 311. This one is going to be a barn burner, I think. Two of the most exciting light heavyweights, just absolute knockout artists. So we're going to get into the predictions and the odds surrounding this fight. But first, I got to introduce the expert. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to break down this fight. It's a tough one to call. I mean, you look at the odds and they're incredibly close. Most sports books have Hill as a slight favorite at -130, 130, with Prochazka coming in as the underdog at +110. But those numbers tell us that this is going to be close, a real nail-biter. Yeah, those odds really surprised me. I expected Hill to be a bigger favorite given his recent win over Teixeira.
Yeah.
And Prochazka is coming off that submission loss to Teixeira. So what do you think is driving those close odds? Well, I think a few things. First, Prochazka's knockout power is undeniable. I mean, the guy has 26 KOs and 30 wins. So even though he's coming off a loss, he's still a threat to end the fight at any moment. Yeah, I mean, that spinning elbow knockout against Reyes, that was just insane.
Exactly. And that's what makes Prochazka so dangerous. He can finish the fight with one shot from anywhere. And his style is so unpredictable, it's hard for opponents to prepare for him.
So you're saying that even though Hill is the favorite, Prochazka still has a real chance of pulling off the upset?
Absolutely. I wouldn't count Prochazka out of this fight. Not by a long shot.
So if you were a betting man, where would you put your money?
That's a tough one. But I think I'd have to lean towards Hill. He's a very technical striker, and I think he'll be able to use his precision to counter Prochazka's aggression.
Interesting. So you're predicting a Hill win?
Yeah, I think so. But again, this is a close fight, and anything could happen.
Well, we've got Hill, the technical striker, versus Prochazka, the unpredictable knockout artist. This is going to be fun. So before we dive deeper into each fighter's strengths and weaknesses, I want to hear from you guys. Who do you think is going to win this fight? And why? Let us know in the comments below. And we'll be back in part 2 to break down each fighter in more detail.
See you then.
Welcome back to the deep dive, folks. We just left off talking about the odds and who we think might win this thing. But now let's take a closer look at what makes these two fighters tick, Started with Jiri Prochazka, 26 knockouts and 30 wins. It's not just the power, though, right?
Yeah, it's that wild style of his throw strikes from all angles. Like he's been training with like a Shaolin monk or something. Remember that spinning back elbow on Ozdemir? Came out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's Prochazka for you. Throws you off with that unorthodox movement, then bam, lights out.
So how do you even prepare for a guy like that? I mean, Hill's a great striker, but can he handle that kind of unpredictability?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? Hill is more of a precision striker, likes to pick his shots.
Yeah, I mean, his fight against Teixeira, he was so patient, just waiting for that opening.
Exactly, and that's what makes this matchup so interesting. You got Prochazka with the chaos, and Hill with the calculated approach.
Almost like a street fighter versus a technical boxer kind of thing.
Yeah, I like that analogy. But, with way more spinning elbows, of course. Of course. So what do you think?
What's the key for Prochazka to win this one? If you were in his corner, what would you be telling him?
I'd say he needs to use that unpredictability to his advantage. Keep Hill guessing. Don't let him get comfortable. But at the same time, he can't be reckless. Hill's too dangerous. He'll make you pay for any mistakes.
Right. It's a fine line. He needs to be aggressive, but he also needs to be smart.
So controlled chaos.
Exactly.
What about Hill?
What's his key to victory? Well, for Hill, I think it's all about patience. He needs to stay calm. Don't get drawn into a brawl with Prochazka.
If he tries to match Prochazka's craziness, that's not going to end well.
Nope. He needs to stick to his game plan, use his footwork, control the distance, and wait for that opportunity to counter.
So for Hill, it's all about being the matador.
Yeah. Avoid the horns.
Yeah.
And strike when the bull is tired.
Man, the fight is going to be a chess match.
Absolutely.
But a chess match with some serious firepower behind it.
And that's what makes it so exciting, right?
Yeah, we got two guys at the top of their game with completely different styles.
Yeah.
And both capable of ending the fight with one shot.
You really can't ask for much more than that.
All right, so we talked about the fighters themselves. But what about some of those other betting options? The article we were looking at mentioned a few, like betting on the under 1.5 rounds.
Yeah, that one's always popular in a fight like this. You got two knockout artists. High chance of an early finish.
Right. Makes sense. What else did they mention?
Well, they also talked about betting on specific methods of victory. Like you could bet on Hill to win by knockout or Prochazka to win by submission, stuff like that.
So you can really get specific with your bets.
Yeah, if you're feeling confident.
But those are riskier, right?
Definitely. Higher risk, but higher reward.
So for the casual fan, just looking to have some fun with the fight, what would you recommend?
Well, if you want to keep it simple, just bet on who you think is going to win.
Right.
But if you want to spice things up a bit, you could bet on the method of victory, or even the round in which the fight will end.
Okay. So there are options for everyone.
Exactly.
Well, this has been a great breakdown.
I'm feeling even more hyped for this fight now.
Me too. But we got to take a quick break. We'll be back in part 3 to give our final predictions and talk about some potential strategies for both fighters.
Chisu?
And we are back for the final round of our Prochazka versus Hill deep dive. We've talked about the odds, the styles. Now let's get into some potential strategies.
Mm-hmm.
If you were in Prochazka's corner, what would you be telling him going into this fight?
Well, you got to play to his strengths, right? So that means using that unorthodox movement, the spinning attacks, keeping Hill off balance.
But he can't just go in there swinging for the fences.
No, definitely not. Hill's too technical for that. He'll pick Prochazka apart if he gets reckless.
So what's the balance?
I'd say controlled chaos. Use those feints, create angles, explode when the opportunity is there.
Yeah, but make Hill think he's going to get hit with his spinning elbow every time.
Exactly. Keep them guessing.
All right, so what about Hill's corner?
What's the game plan there? Well, for Hill, it's all about patience. Discipline.
Don't get sucked into Prochazka's game.
Exactly. He needs to control the distance, use his footwork, pick his shots, and wait for Prochazka to make a mistake.
Sounds like a classic counter-striker approach.
Yeah, but against a guy like Prochazka, it's easier said than done.
Right. Prochazka's going to be putting on the pressure.
Yeah, but Hill has shown that he can handle pressure. He stayed calm against Tysura, and I think he'll do the same against Prochazka.
So we got 2 very different strategies here. Which one do you think will be more effective?
It's tough to say. I mean, on paper, Hill's style seems like a better matchup for Prochazka. But Prochazka is such a wild card. You never know what he's going to do.
Yeah, that's why we love MMA.
Anything can happen.
All right, so let's make some predictions.
Who do you got?
I'm going with Prochazka. I think he's going to catch Hill early, maybe with a spinning back fist or something.
Interesting. I'm going with Hill. I think his technical skills will be the difference. I see him winning by TKO in the 3rd round.
Okay, so we got one for Prochazka, one for Hill.
Let's see who's right.
I guess we'll find out on fight night.
Can't wait.
Well, this has been a great deep dive. I'm even more excited for this fight now.
Me too.
Thanks for joining us.
Anytime.
And to all you fight fans out there, make sure you tune in to UFC 311 to see this epic showdown go down. It's going to be one for the ages. We'll be back after the fight to break it all down. Until then, keep those fists flying